I'm going to make the case that this is actually sexism. I'm not joking. I'm going to make that case. I'm being sincere. It's not a bit, okay? Let me just hear me out, okay? You can disagree with me after you've heard the argument. That's how it works. You have to know the argument to disagree with it, okay? Conversations. That's kind of broad. Those come up a lot, you know, in my line of work. I saw this literally 5 minutes before I hit the go live button. People being mad at me for being correct again. Okay, this sounds a little bit like weird and divergent, but stick with me for a second, okay? I have a point to make with this, okay? So, a fascist Twitter account called Declaration of Memes, you've probably seen them. They tweeted, "Never forget what they took from you. I'm so sick of liberals." And it's an image of Lara Croft in an older character design versus Lara Croft in the remakes. And that got posted by Political L's, implying that they're condemning the content of the image that they've posted. And then I replied, "Rare Fash W, this is liberals' fault. Real queer leftists would have made the tits bigger in the reboot." And then people got mad at me. And now it's like discourse. There's Bad Empanada being mad. Allah bless us by driving a tornado through his house. You don't drive a tornado, you fucking idiot. There's no wheel. Just because it's circular doesn't... They don't understand what they're talking about. Some people did show up here, like here. Some of you guys have such a hate boner, true. You choose to believe an obvious joke isn't. I wasn't joking, is the problem. I think a lot of people kind of like reflexively assumed that was a bit. I was being completely serious. I guess a real queer leftist could have kept the tits the same size. I'm going to do this. I'm going to talk about this. So just sit tight for 15, okay? Some of the earliest games that I played were the original Tomb Raider games. They're so old. I wasn't even old enough to play them on my own. I played them with my dad. He would handle the movement on one side of the keyboard, and I would handle like the mouse so that I could do like the shooting. We were terrible. I mean, it's not like my dad was phenomenal at computer games back then. I mean, this was back when Lara Croft looked like this. My understanding of why she looked like this is that at some point while making her 3D model, somebody just input the wrong number and made her breasts much larger than they were intended to be. They were like, yeah, why not? Roll with it. And then she had big tits. I don't know if that story is actually true. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but that's kind of how she was depicted in the marketing, you know? This was how she looked in the box cover, see? So even when they could, you know, draw her out with more, you know, more detail than the in-game rendering, it's pretty clear where their biases were with regards to her proportions. I really like those games, and I never played any of the like Tomb Raider games after those, except for the reboot. The reboot started, I don't know, it was like 2014 or maybe earlier, 2011. I don't know. They did a reboot of the Tomb Raider games, and in the reboot, Lara Croft, it's a prequel, and she's like college age, and she has, I would say, like, average or smaller than average breasts, and she just kind of looks like a normal woman. She doesn't really look that similar to how she used to look, except for having brown hair and like a teal tank top, I guess. And I'm going to make the case that this is actually sexism. I'm not joking. I'm going to make that case. I'm being sincere. It's not a bit, okay? Let me just hear me out, okay? You can disagree with me after you've heard the argument. That's how it works. You have to know the argument to disagree with it, okay? No, you have to sit still for a second. I feel like because I have fond memories of the original Tomb Raider, I want to support this by kind of like autistically rambling about the first games for 3 hours, but I'm going to resist the temptation and say that originally Lara Croft was characterized as a kind of selfish, well, obviously like Tomb Raider, like selfish, like aristocratic, ultra wealthy, almost like mercenary individual. She did like the femme fatale thing, yeah, where she would do like the playful flirting, and she was also not a good person. Like, you know how Indiana Jones believes these things belong in a museum? Lara Croft never believed that. She believed that they belonged at an auction with her making millions of dollars selling them. Like, that was her thing. She had a mansion in the first game. Here, hold on. A Tomb Raider original mansion. It was the training level for the original game. And you can see just from a YouTube video of somebody walking around it, that it was like a mega manor. I mean, it's the size of like, it's like an island estate, like ultra huge, massive, Like, I mean, keep in mind this game was made like, I don't know, it's like 500 years ago or whatever. So you're dealing with very limited like graphical fidelity, but it was very much emphasized that she would just like casually murder people. She had a ton of money, like, you know, and she wasn't like super special character development wise. I'm not saying this was like a masterpiece of female characterization. Like, she ran around in super skimpy clothing and she had huge tits, and she was a femme fatale archetype. Now, okay, you you know how if you were to update a character like that, there are like two directions you could go, right? One direction would be you could take what you know about her character and you could like elevate it by taking it seriously. And the other way you could go is by boiling it down and making her like a very standard personalityless girl boss, you know? Like, this is very much like a liberal feminism versus illiberal feminism attitude, where on one hand, and this is how I felt about the reboot, no? Yeah, how I felt about the reboot. I basically think they went into a room and they were like, it's sexist for her to have big tits. The only thing that I can think of when I see this is they literally sat down and they thought, you know, like, it is unserious for her to have such large breasts. How do you think it would have gone over with people if they had done like Street Fighter 6 and they had given Chun-Li regular sized legs, right? Or like you had a character who from the beginning had like pretty wide hips proportionally and they were like, no, 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 that's not serious. So then they just like make her have normal hips. You know what I'm talking about? I'm pretty sure they did that though. In the most recent one, Street Fighter 6 Chun-Li. Is that true? Because I remember people doing the awooga over gifs of her. This is like a side point. Whatever the case may be, can we agree conceptually that it would be poorly received if people were like, let's update Chun-Li. Let's bring her into the modern era. She's gonna have normal legs. I mean, they didn't just give Lara Croft like slightly smaller breasts. They gave her that like the chest that she has in the most recent games. It's not even like a distinguishing feature, which I don't know. Normal women have big tits sometimes. That's like a normal thing that happens, you know? It just seems odd to me. There were a lot of accusations that were being thrown around back when the remakes were made about the game being kind of sexist, and I agree in a lot of ways in retrospect, you know? Like, those games were weird, man. Like, there's a lot of weird Lara Croft torture porn, where in those remakes she was like, I don't know, like subjected. This picture is not from the remake. The remake is boob. Oh, let me see the remake then. Remake. Well, wait, hold on. To be clear, then my point still stands in any like adaptational format, right? Because that's the same argument would stand. But okay, 1 second. Yeah, they've been doing this a lot, man. There have been numerous Tomb Raider reboots, and I feel like every time they've done one, they've got somebody in the dev team has gone like, wouldn't it be sexist of us to give her really big boobs? And the consequence of that is that I I don't know. I feel like it reveals worse attitudes about women. The idea that you can't be like a serious character if you have a sexualized design, especially nowadays. I feel like it's really common for female characters to be taken seriously while also having kind of like over the top designs. Like, there was an era in female character development where it felt like the juxtaposition was you could be sexually attractive and like bimbo fetish bait, or you could be like like kind of dressed down and serious and taken seriously, you know? And I think that more recently there's been a shift towards understanding that it's not a juxtaposition. We played Bayonetta on stream, did we not? I mean, is that not kind of what we're talking about? Like, I feel like Bayonetta, the whole kind of tone of the game relies pretty heavily on, you know, them selling the idea that Bayonetta can be taken seriously in her own way, I guess, while also being, you know, kind of ridiculous. Her being ridiculous is part of the selling point, isn't it? But while playing Bayonetta 1, I never thought like, oh, the way she's designed and the way she acts are fundamentally unserious in a way that keeps me from respecting her character. It's like she's doing a bit, you know? She is ridiculous. Jesus Christ. Truly a remarkable and inspired character design, I feel. it's practically cookie cutter these days with character design. What is? They need to give Lara Croft breast reduction lore so we can have continuity. Okay, let me try this again because I feel like chat's not following me on any thread that I'm putting forward right now. Okay, we're gonna plant our feet firmly. Okay, we're gonna try this again. Okay, there are plenty of characters in video games, especially, who are men who are designed in ways that are pretty silly. You can go back for a while if you want. Who's the big, like, beefy black dude in Final Fantasy VII? You know, there are a lot of guys who have that kind of body type, who are like really big, like hulkingly large. Barrett, thank you, Barrett. Yeah, and I feel like for the most part, there's a lot of there's a much wider range of respect given to male characters, regardless of the extent to which they're stylized, you know? And I think that when characters like Lara Croft have really big tits, it's not just a matter of like, you know, sexual sort of like fetish bait or whatever, though it is obviously in its original design, but conceptually it could be a lot more than that, right? Like, could you not hypothetically have a character who is doing all of these wacky tomb raiding shenanigans and also has gigantic tits? And if you don't want that, is that because you think having big tits makes you fundamentally unserious, or is that because you're trying to do the realism thing? And if you want realism, then I don't know what you're going to Lara Croft for. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, the original game is about her, like, traveling under the Great Wall of China to retrieve a magical dagger that was buried in the heart of a T-Rex that used to be like a prince in China or something. Something like that. That's the first Tomb Raider game. Yeah, it's significantly less realistic than like Indiana Jones, and there's magic in Indiana Jones. So I don't know. My question is, Vosh, why aren't men sexualized as much? You idiot, you f***ing buffoon. Listen to what I'm talking about right now. We're not talking about that. We got to stay focused. Chat's trying to pull me away 50 directions. I'm looking at chat. Every single one of these messages is about something different. Okay, it's about a different subject. I think that if you're going to make a remake of a character here, let me do the real juxtaposition right here, because I mean this shit, okay? I genuinely think, so you know how we've criticized liberal feminism a lot on this channel, in large part, like Anita Sarkeesian shit, in large part because if you go back and you look over the critiques made and the assumptions made, oftentimes it feels like there are conservative social assumptions that are being made that don't meaningfully address the underlying issues. You know, I'm being reminded of like Anita Sarkeesian's tropes in video games, where you're just kind of like citing the fact that you can shoot hookers in Grand Theft Auto as evidence of misogyny. There's like a very shallow surface level analysis of what's going on in them as like a medium, you know? And I feel like the most shallow surface level way that you could look at this is go like, this is just sexism. Like, sexism is a part of it, you know, that's like an element of why things turned out this way. But you can also look at a bunch of examples in modern media where women who originally just had kind of dumb sexualized designs had that design elevated in a way that kept like the fundamental principles of it, or rather than just like redoing the character, they found a way to make it work, right? Because I remember playing the Tomb Raider reboots, and she's like a 22-year-old, I don't know, whatever, and she doesn't act anything like she did in the original games. Like, a different character on every level. The only thing that draws them together is the brown hair and the tank top, and that's it. They didn't even give the teal tank top here, you know. It's not even teal. She's a scared child. There's no personality similarity whatsoever between the two. And it's not because it's a prequel and she hasn't grown into that woman yet. It's because there might as well just be two different characters, you know? I feel like the bringing the tits down is kind of symptom of that. What's a good example here? Who's the character? Am I thinking of Camry? She's a chick and everyone was doing the awooga over her stretching gif in a fighting game. Is it Camry? Cammy. Okay. I was very close. Well, I actually said Cammy. You know, I'm very smart. Okay. Here we go. So this is objectively like a design and animation which is informed by people going awooga. You know, this is an awooga animation, right? That's a component to this. There's no getting around it. Now, and I've said this many times before, I don't think that sexualizing characters in and of itself is sexist or wrong or bad or whatever else. You know, it's fine. It's more like sometimes when women are sexualized in media, it feels like it's being done in the most like disrespectful, like there it's only dudes were involved in the decision making, and they were leering at the drawings they were making at the time, and there was just very little consideration for it outside like an object of the male gaze. I didn't see many people complaining about this gif, because even though it's definitely sexualized, it's good and I guess artistically interesting enough that people are like, ah, well, you know, we'll let them have that one. You guys understand what I'm on about here, right? Now, if I remember correctly, not exactly a fighting game legend here, okay, Cammy originally looked like this. Now, I don't think that this design is very good. This is one of those designs where I look at it and I go, okay, I understand you're trying to give me a boner. You're trying to pump blood directly into my dick. But it's a little bit too silly for me to take it seriously, you know? You've got like the military beret, but then you have like the form-fitting leotard with the I don't get it. You're doing camo on your legs. Like it's a little too silly for me to and by the way, I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with this, you know? It's just camp, but I don't think it's selling camp that hard. Does that make sense? I feel like in a really bombastic game, like Guilty Gear, like in Guilty Gear, you could get away with stuff like this a little bit more, because the universe and the art design is so over the top that you would see somebody who looks like this and you would go like, ah, yes, of course, you know. I feel like there's more of a lean into it, you know. So many cute designs in Guilty Gear. Yeah, there are fantastic ones. This witch lady right here, this is a design for a character in Guilty Gear, and I think she looks great. I mean, she's ridiculous, you know. She has a crazy hourglass and her tits are spilling out of the top. I've never seen anyone complain about this being sexualized. In fact, I think Guilty Gear is very popular among left-leaning people, right? Like this is where Brisket, Bridget, the trans girl, is from. You know, like you know what I'm talking about? It's a lot of popularity, a lot of love there. Grand Blue Rising has all the skanky twinks. What is Grand Blue Rising? Is that a fighting game? I guess with a name like Grand Blue Rising, it would be a fighting game. Oh, these are some skanky twinks. Hell yeah, dude. That's what I'm talking about. Apex of optimal male character design. Can you understand how in a game with male characters who look like this, a character who looks like this wouldn't be that out of place? Nobody in chat's going to respond, but I'm going to assume most people in chat understand and would agree. Oftentimes you have a, he doesn't know. What do I not know? That was a trans woman, by the way. This is a trans woman? This supports my point further. That this only adds considerably to my point. My point has been doubled. Like hardened Nippon steel, it has been folded over 1,000 times. With my point thoroughly secured. Yeah. But in the original, I guess, I didn't really feel that Cammy's design was campy enough to warrant how she looks here. But see, chat, Kanye, you're doing this too. You're all distracting me here, okay? You're keeping me off here. Genuine question, Mortal Kombat women used to have more explicit designs like this. Newer MKs do this. This is a whole other thing. Do you think that's fine because misogyny was more normal back then, or no, because dressing women sexy isn't objectively bad? Okay. Okay. Look, standards for how characters are designed are going to shift over time inevitably. I think this design right here is trash. This is super boring, right? Well, pure. I mean, just from like an aesthetic perspective, like this is really boring. This is like hand like a horny 14-year-old, like yeah, draw a hot fighter outfit. Like it's lazy. So the first criticism here, purely on artistic grounds. I don't even have to invoke sexism. You know, at least this. God damn it. at least this newer design is more interesting to look at, you know, and it's still sexualized with the like titty plate, like hugging. I swear to God, there's like a shadow on the nipple right here. Am I seeing that? Does anyone else see that? I swear to God, it's darker in a circle right here. Whatever. It's not just a matter of like the extent to which these perspectives shift. There is an almost unimaginably complicated set of subtle, implicit vibes that we get when we look at media that inform the intentions of the person who created that media. You know, it's a way of giving us insight into the social and cultural trends that they were kind of produced from. And I think most people watching right now, on some intuitive level, might get more of an ick vibe from this character design than they would from this one, right? Does everyone understand not why that is, but that is? And it's not just a matter of how much titty you're showing too, you know? Where's the guilty gear? There we go, right? Here. This is the example that I'm going with here, okay? Between these two characters, okay? So a very comparable amount of skin is being shown between this character and Guilty Gear. This is the modern design, by the way, the one on the right, and this character here. Yeah, pretty comparable amount of skin, I'd say. You know, we're in the ballpark. You know, leaving aside the fact that this design is much better aesthetically than the Mortal Kombat one. You know, we're just talking about like I guess vibes or perception here. The main difference to me, the main thing that sells this to me, is that this woman looks like she has character. She's in a bombastic anime game filled with bombastic characters. She's immediately selling what she is, what she's about, what she's interested in with her character design. This looks like, how do I put this? If you could imagine that somehow in real life, a woman with a very nice figure became incredibly powerful, like learned magic or something like that, you know, like somehow became that person. I could imagine a sufficiently, I guess, like anime brain poisoned woman in that position deciding to dress up like this. Because as over the top as it is, it's over the top in a way that sells character and power. This doesn't sell character or power, does it? You agree, right? You understand what I'm saying here? I don't think anyone would. This just looks like a gear that you would get from a sex shop. Like it literally, like it looks like you could go there and it's like, oh yeah, here for $40, here's some like poorly made like fetish outfit, haha, you know, have fun tearing it up, whatever. The only thing this sells to me, I guess, apart from laziness, is like, you know, stripper lingerie. Whereas this is like, you know, bombastic anime shit, you know, like and hell yeah, dude, look at that sweet jacket. And like, oh man, look at like the giant metal pins on the she's wearing a lot of stuff. Okay, it's an anime character design. This is what I'm talking about with Lara Croft, you know? In a way, now imagine if they made another Guilty Gear, right? And this character, this woman here on the right, they were like, well, hold on, it's sexist for her to show this much skin. Let's have her wear like, I don't know, a red pantsuit, or maybe like let's okay, we have to bring down the tits and bring down the hips, give her like normal proportions. We're gonna give her like a regular red leather jacket that covers most of her top. Maybe she can have like some bared midriff right here, so she can show her belly button. But apart from that, would you agree with me, as I do, that that would not only be unfortunate in terms of like the mauling of a character design, but would also be a little bit implicitly sexist because she's in a bombastic anime world. So to say, oh no, we need to tone this down, speaks to me more of like, she can only be taken seriously as a character if we dress her down. But that's not true in a bombastic anime world, is it? You can be, that's the thing that people like about anime. You can have a character who looks like, read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You can have a character who looks like a fucking, like, lunatic escaped from a fashion runway. And brandishing like you know an 8-foot long sword at you, and this is a character you're meant to take seriously. It's a hallmark of the medium, I guess, of the genres in the medium at least. And I guess that's kind of how I feel about what they did with Lara Croft, right? They had an opportunity to take a bombastic over-the-top character, which is what Lara Croft was. She was like a femme fatale, ultra-wealthy, super self-centered murderer who would like fight demigods and djinns and dragons and stuff to like, you know, get artifacts, whatever. It was never like a realistic, whatever. I mean, it was very over the top. And then when they do the reboot, they do the standard gritty reboot thing where now she's constantly covered in grime. The story is about her being like tortured constantly because apparently what people really want to see from Lara Croft is like her being a baby, being like, I don't know, like mauled and abused into hardening up, It's like having bad things happen to a character isn't the same as character development. She looks like she's from The Last of Us. She does, doesn't she? But The Last of Us is gritty and realistic. And the Lara Croft games were about a Tyrannosaurus Rex living in a cave under the Great Wall of China is an enemy you can fight in the first Tomb Raider game. That's not a joke. That's a real thing that you can do. It's an extra enemy that you can fight by going down a hidden path. And then they were like, well, how do we, and they did this for a lot of stuff, the gritty realistic reboots, but I think what they did with Lara Croft here was especially sinister, because to me, again, just carries the implication that they thought the only way they could make her appropriate and not sexist would be for them to massively turn down the titty knob. And I don't agree. Have you seen discourse on Twitter before where teachers, it's usually like black women teachers because there's also an element of racism here, get sent home for inappropriate clothing when they're wearing like head to toe outfits, and the inappropriate clothing that they're wearing just happens to contour to their very large breasts. You've probably seen drama like that. And it's like, wear something appropriate. It's like, well, can they leave their tits at home? That is sexist and often racist because there's like a dynamic there. And I feel like this also is, I feel I've made the point. I legit think it's actually more realistic. Yeah, but so there are two directions that we can go with that then, Vermin. It is more realistic for somebody whose tits are drawn like this to actually look like, wait, like this. A lot of images here. I mean, that is realistic. But the problem is that like, girls having big tits is also realistic. That's a thing that is known to happen. And in the end of this reboot game, she fights like an undead horde. I'm talking about doing actions, not looking like that, you fool. Well, sure, but there's plenty of stuff that Lara Croft does that also isn't physically possible, That's the issue, right? It's... if your argument was they shouldn't change the character because they don't have to be realistic, it's a video game, I get that, but I think it's a bit dumb to say it's sexist to shrink her tits, that boyfriend of you. Oh, okay, all right, Vermin, all right, fine, sure, all right, we'll do this then. You with your grand knowledge of the Tomb Raider series, it's not, they didn't shrink her tits, they definitely shrunk her tits. It's not just like, oh, they updated her character design. It's that Lara Croft, like, was the center of video game discourse on sexualization for so long. Like, this was she was like the centerpiece of a literally like decades long conversation on women's bodies in games. And I feel like there are really only two directions that you can go in, right? Either you find a way to present a woman with big tits in a way that's agreeable and interesting and artistically valid and not sexist, or you give up and you're like, okay, fine, she has normal tits now. And that to me is the issue, I guess. In the context of all the discourse, I didn't want them to do a realistic reboot anyway, but it was like an open subject to begin with, And I just feel like there are a lot of negative implications. And keep in mind, they did a lot of like weird infantilization of her in this remake as well. It wasn't just that they changed her body type or whatever. They also like, it's like, oh yeah, she's younger, she's dumber, she's got a much more naive personality. Now she has like other people in her group that she looks up to and depends on. I think they gave her a mentor character. It just, I don't know. I feel like it's very cynical at the very least. The death scenes had weird vibes. In the first game, I'm pretty sure there's literally like a button prompt to not get raped or killed or something. Like there's a bunch of natives on the island that's like pulling her and it looks like they're gonna rape her. And then if you fail the prompt, it turns out they just bludgeon her to death. But it definitely looks and feels like it's a sexual assault kind of thing. I think all these things are related. I guess, okay. How about this? If they had kept her as a femme fatale who was always cracking one-liners and coldly murdering people, and kept her looking like this, but, not 5 polygons or whatever. Do you think there would have been a prolonged scene where she fell, broke her leg, screamed in agony about it, crawled and limped along for 5 minutes through sewage, and then a bunch of natives like looked like they were about to rape her? Or do you think all of that was just like male writers thinking, how do we make a female character complex, you know? I don't know if anyone, I certainly don't think women who like Lara Croft would have been like, oh, you know what she needs? She needs all that crap that I just described. The end of Tomb Raider is her about to enter the shower and she shoots the camera. You mean the original Tomb Raider? Yeah, that's kind of like Samus Aran in the original Metroid, right? Yeah, I remember. Unironically, I genuinely think that this has more personality and is less sexist than the remake. I'm not kidding. I actually mean that. I fully mean that. I genuinely think that like the era of femme fatale, bombastic, over the top, sexualized women doing the like tut tut little man, you know, you're not seeing me undress bullshit is actually significantly less sexist than the, you know, a team of 50 male writers teaming up to substitute female character development for women like agonizingly sort of screaming and suffering as their, you know, broken bones grind against each other. You know, Nathan Drake didn't have to do all that shit, man. Kill Bill is such a good movie for this reason. Yeah, it is. There's a bad trend of female character development through insane amounts of trauma, even in supposedly feminist media. Yeah, it's like a recurring problem, dude. I don't know. It's really weird. I don't have anything against the concept of characters suffering, but there's definitely like a, because you can tell, can't you? The writers are like, ooh, you don't think we're going to put this beautiful woman through this much suffering, do you? And they keep doing it, you know, like a shock value thing. Because when a guy suffers, if there's an action movie and a guy takes a bullet to the stomach or is injured in some way, or it's Die Hard and John McClane gets like glass cutting up his feet, it's gruesome, sure, but it's like gritty, you know. It's like, oh, this guy's gritting him, dealing with it. But every time a woman gets injured in media, or not every time, I'm overstating the case there, but often like when women get injured, it's this way more like gratuitous. It's pornography. It's the same thing they do with women's bodies, where men are often in states of undress in media and it's just shown, but if women are in states of undress, the camera luridly zooms in and gives you like the look over and stuff. And likewise, when a guy has their bone broken or is suffering or whatever, it's like, ah, man, that sucks. But if a woman is, in a lot of cases, the sort of framing of the game or the movie or whatever, like really wants you to look at that and jerk off to it. You know, it's weird. But once you start noticing this, you notice it everywhere, you know, like all the time. Like it, and I really do think that a lot of it is a kind of like a pornographic obsession with getting every last bit of attention they can out of the physical suffering of a woman. That's like how video games have always had guys getting hit going, ugh, and women getting hit always sound like they're moaning. No, that's a different thing. I'm not talking about women moaning in a sexual way when they're injured. I'm talking about and can somebody in chat not think of a specific example of what I'm talking about? Because what I'm talking about it's not like a rare trope, by the way. Like what I'm talking about right now is a pretty common thing. It's been around for decades. It's not Casca? Well, no, Guts suffers plenty on camera there. Sexualization of women's body. No. I'm not talking about sexualization. I'm talking about like an obsession on lingering on it. I'm not talking about it being done in a sexual way. I'm saying that it's done in OG Tomb Raider voice actress said devs told her to tone down slipping sexiness into her performance. The original devs were 100% aware how it would be perceived. Oh wait, this is interesting. I haven't seen this. Near Automata? No, not like, oh man, this happens so often that maybe we don't even see it or notice it that much. It'll be like a guy dies and he just dies, like an action or whatever. Like a guy dies, he just dies, he gets shot or whatever. But then a woman dies, and she doesn't just die, you know. She goes like, no, please, and the guy like looking all evil before shooting her, and then you get like shots of her being like killed, and it like lingers on. It's much more serious, much more weight, you know. That's what I'm talking about, like significantly more narrative weight, because it's lyric, it's obsessive, it's made for men. No female audience, no female director, no female writer is thinking, thinking like, you know what will bring women into this? Okay, you know what will really bring women into the traditionally male-dominated gaming industry? You know, what if we had scenes where women screamed, "I'm just gonna show the cutscenes, you people! I can't believe." Tomb Raider reboot cutscene, broken leg. Tomb Raider reboot cutscene. Just please, God, anything to get me out of here. Tomb Raider all cutscenes definitive edition, 2 hours 21 minutes. Holy shit. Modern gaming, huh? Oh wow, that took literal first click. That's pretty fitting. Hold on.
God. So don't think I don't understand.
I don't know. I'm not going to be able to click to the exact part that I'm thinking of. Like, the moment. Like, just clicking to it. This cutscene where she dies in the river. Oh, a chatter got it. All death scenes.
Finish it!
Dude, if there's anything that women love when they're playing video games, reboots of femme fatale characters who are always in charge, it's this. You know? There's so much of this shit. Isn't this a prequel? Isn't she supposed to be inexperienced? That's like the lazy justification. Could you imagine if they pulled this shit with Bayonetta? Oh yeah, does anyone want to play a Bayonetta prequel where she looks like a regular normal person and doesn't at all look like Bayonetta, and also she acts differently and has no confidence, and also she has like a male mentor who like teaches her everything, and also like in 90% of the game she could be killed and like sort of brutally like choked or stabbed to death by random guy. Oh, nobody wants that. Oh, it would be kind of weird to do that in with a like sexy femme fatale character who's very overpowered in the original media. That would be kind of weird, maybe sexist. Yeah. They did this with Metroid Other M. Lamau, also known as the most sexist game ever made, yeah. Yeah. Bayo 3 was terrible for that? Yeah, I didn't see it. It's 12 minutes long. I mean, I could watch the whole damn thing. Far Cry 3, I think, does this with the women captives. It wouldn't surprise me. I didn't play much of Far Cry 3. Can we move on? Nope. We cannot. Actually, as a matter of fact, I feel that the point has been made. Google Bayonetta 2 and 3. This like, it's not relevant to what I'm talking about right now. Indiana Jones is literally a male version of her, and in the third movie, he runs away from Teresa Boy. You're so smart! Woo! San Fran Beyond the Star. You fucking troglodytes drinking your piss and shit in the piss and shit ocean that you all live in. Meanwhile, San Fran Beyond the Star sailing the fucking starscapes on a fucking raft made of dreams. Holy shit, you're right. You're completely correct. Indiana Jones literally did have a bit where they flash back to his childhood, explained how he got a phobia of snakes, and also he outsmarted and escaped his captors back then. Yeah, that's true. They didn't do a flashback to Indiana Jones where he got held down, beaten to death, then for 3 hours or whatever. Like, you know, it's just a prequel. It would, don't you think it'd be a little bit tonally weird to take a character like Indiana Jones, which in his media, he's like a very competent, suave, like, you know, over the top, bombastic kind of action hero or whatever. And then like, oh yeah, here's the prequel, okay? Actually, he just spent his whole life getting the shit kicked out of him by dudes speaking Russian or whatever, you know? That was his past, okay? Like that's what he was up to. Enjoy your tonally consistent prequel or remake or whatever. And then with Lara Croft, they did the exact same thing. Well, they actually did that. I don't know. And the crazy thing is that at the time there were feminists that were praising the fact that they like scoped her tits down, but that was it. That was what the praise was for. They weren't praising her character because at the time when the praise was happening, like they hadn't seen the game. But there were a lot of people who were like, "Oh, thank goodness they finally like toned down her character design." And it's like, really? Are we actually like first principles against stacked bitches in games? Because if that's the case, this has nothing to do with like sexism or whatever. Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. It's like pop feminist garbage or whatever, where they were like, wow, they've corrected Lara Croft's design. When, again, like, would Bayonetta's design be corrected if they just put her in a fucking like pantsuit, you know? Would Cammy's design be corrected if they just had her wear, I don't know, like what, a t-shirt and jeans? Where's the fucking, would this bitch's design be corrected if they like, yeah. I think what I'm talking about is a real issue, by the way. It's like, it's symptomatic of, I guess, a liberal attitude towards addressing inequality in media. Would Bayonetta's pantsuit still be made of hair? Oh, they criticize that too. Are you just against the concept of changing the tone of a series? No, please, come on, be charitable to what I'm saying here. I'm not against changing the tone necessarily, though considering the tone change they did for the remake of Tomb Raider was let's rip off Uncharted and do it worse. Yeah, I will criticize that tone change. But in this case, it is the, I think, sexist adjacency between let's strip this woman of her personality, which they completely did, you know, disempower her massively, fill the game with weird like guru porn tier bullshit of like her lurid deaths, which they definitely did. And then also will make her serious by scoping her tits down. Like, I think that's very sexist, you know? I think that there's a set of associations and biases and preconceptions that go into doing all those things at once, you know? It's not necessarily that they're inconsistent. It's more like they're just bad. And also, there might just be something sexist about the way realistic games approached making realistic games, you know? I mean, it's not as though 2000, I don't know, what is it? Like 2011 to 2014 or whenever the big era of making everything like gritty and realistic was like a like, you know, new emergence of feminist thought in video games, you know? The best thing of the Tomb Raider remake death scenes, we got to see Conan O'Brien react to it. I think I remember seeing that a while ago. The whole change of her design just reinforces the idea that games are only for boys and must compensate the male gaze. That's the feeling that I get. It's not like the remake did super well with women, if I remember correctly. That shit's weird. Like all the like weird like, yeah, again, like empowered femme fatale character, but also if you f up this cutscene button prompt, this older man will pin you to a wall by your wrists and like choke you to death. Really? It like, I don't know, man. Like, rape is realistic. How would you guys feel if that was the consequence of f***ing up in like every game with a female protagonist? Like, it happens pretty often, dude. I don't know. Let's do a Beyond Good and Evil remake. And actually, when the demons, like, when you lose all your health or whatever, you actually get like to death. Like, because we're doing a realistic reboot. Is it realism we're doing here, or are we bringing something else to the table? Considering the fact that they were trying to ape off of Uncharted, and Uncharted isn't realistic, doesn't it seem kind of odd that they would have like taken those directions in those ways? What elements of realism are we looking for? Well, to have her be taken seriously, her tits have to be like a third the size they used to be. And also, when Lara Croft up, she has to scream and moan in pain for hours, and you know, they'll rape her to death. What elements of magic are we willing to keep? Well, everything else, actually. The giant zombie horde of immortal, like, demigods that she fights at the end of the first game with like an artifact that she got from a tomb. We'll keep shit like that, dude, you know? But she needs to be choked to death by older men. They couldn't even make Lara Croft physically strong enough to fight off one single guy, you know? Dude, like, that's weird, man. I guess a lot of people in chat haven't played the original, so the juxtaposition between how she was presented originally and how she was presented in the remake doesn't seem as severe to them. She was a badass in the OG? Yeah, no kidding. If you haven't played the games, don't make conclusive statements. I've played the games. I played the Tomb Raider reboot, and I played the Tomb Raider Gold Edition, the pack of the first two Tomb Raider games. I can speak to all this. I played it. What do you think about the cliche of using women and children as victims to add more drama or stakes to the situation? Look, it happens all the time. It's just doing that with the protag, you know? Like, especially in the context. I don't know. I just know for a fact that at some point during the production of this game, I know this for an absolute fact, dude, because I'm so smart, my brain is so huge, okay? I know that for an absolute fact, they had a conversation. Look at this shit, dude, what the f***? It's so dark, by the way. At some point, they had a conversation. They were like, yeah, there's no way Lara Croft could physically overpower one of these guys. They're a man. I know they said that. I know they said that. I can feel it deep in my bones and my heart. I can feel it. That Lara Croft, who was backflipping and killing T-Rexes with dual blocks, they were like, nah, see, this is a big guy, so like he'd choke her to death, you know? Deagles even? Yeah, well, if you have the ammo for it. Ugh. Here's your female power fantasy. Oh, he was stronger than her. Even in a direct one-on-one, both of them have both hands in the gun situation where it's pure strength to pure strength. We're doing gritty realism now, which means that the woman who's physically weaker because she's a woman, you know, she gets shot. I know that you can succeed in these quick time events. I'm just saying that, like, games don't have to have stuff like this. Most action games don't have a bunch of death cutscenes like this, you know? Does she not have muscly arms in the sequel? I only played the first one of the remakes. By the way, in case you were curious, here's what death looks like in the original Tomb Raider. God, nostalgia. Holy shit. Weird how, despite her character design being so pointy and boob-like, in this one, death in this game was just like... she fell. Spider's got her. Blade's got her. Wow, holy shit, different games are different. Why is your brain so small, dude? Why do you not understand what I'm saying? Wow, different games are different. Well, bro, dude, wow, yeah, your camp has summertime activities. My camp has gas chambers. What's the difference? I'm not even engaging with you fairly. You're a Nazi. I'm strawmanning you. Get out of here. Where I was so mad that I scrolled through the chat so quickly that I forgot who said what and where they said it. God damn it. Oh my god. Why did they go pervert Dead Space? They didn't. If you can't tell the difference between the bloody death scenes in Dead Space and the bloody death scenes in the Lara Croft remake, then again, you're not even taking this serious. You're not engaging in good faith. I agree, she went from a strong, morally questionable badass to a feminized, weak, petite stereotype. Yeah, they didn't keep her character at all, so it's not like there was even a, it's not like it was even like an iteration of how she was already designed or developed or whatever. They just made her a different person, a much more sexist person. Does anyone look... Real question, does anyone looking at this get the feeling that this game is particularly sexist in the actual act of playing it? Like, I know the cover art, she's got big knockers, but I feel like in the actual moment-to-moment gameplay, nothing about this actually... Like, I have played... This game was the center of decades of sexualization discourse, but in truth, actually playing it, it just plays like itself, you know? She just has big tits, and they market her big tits. They don't... It's... Yeah. It's ridiculous that she's wearing this outfit for this occupation. Yes, it is silly. It definitely is. And I think that if they had put some effort into intelligently developing on this, they could have had... They could have done a lot with it, you know? They could have kept her having a sexualized design, but made the game bombastic to compensate. In fairness, this game is pretty bombastic in itself. Or they could have, like, dialed it down in a way that was respectful. But in the remake, they just boiled away her personality and cut her tits in half, you know? And I do blame the liberals. I do. I feel in regards to what you're saying with these death scenes and some kind of weird fetish revenge, a revenge fetish against women, I feel, I don't know, if you, like, want to look at realistic death scenes. No. Wait, I'm sorry. I can barely read what you said here. I feel, I don't know if you agree, like, if you want to look at better realistic death scenes, The Last of Us game... Oh, that's the T-Rex... By the way, first game, that's the T-Rex you fight. In this realistic... Guys, we're gonna do a remake of the classic video game Tomb Raider, you know? We need to have her lose in hand-to-hand combat against one man in a cutscene while she's whimpering like a scared girl because of realism. Make her tits 1/3 the size, you know, everything's realistic now, you know, and by that we mean disempowering. It has to be disempowering. Would they do that for a man? The closest thing that I can think of, honestly, with them doing that is, sincerely, I mean this sincerely, the God of War games, the more recent ones in which they did not de-emphasize, what's the term? De-stylize? They brought the realism levels up. You know, but they did it purposefully was the thing. They did that in an artistic and purposeful way. They didn't do it because it was like, oh, we need to like kowtow to the censors and make God of War less violent or whatever. They just kind of they intelligently adjusted the tone of the game. Oh yeah, here's when you're in Venice. I love these guys. You're in Venice and you're going up against like a criminal syndicate, which seems to be composed entirely of like opera-masked snipers and gigantic I'm walking here guys. That guy. Whap. It's, sorry. Not praising old games for their comedic timing. I think these games are great, man. I agree, the Radical Dino. Yeah, there's like meaning to it. Not gonna lie, I've been laughing at the death scenes for a few minutes now. Yeah, no, it's funny. It was actually, I found this game quite scary when I was like 8 years old. Yeah, the rats are killing her here. Yeah, the rat does like 1 damage, you know? Gotta watch out. Dead. So when this person said all the deaths, they really just meant like every death you could have. Like these aren't like special unique deaths. They're just dying all over the place to everything. Like, not gonna lie, I really like the retro look of this game more than other retro games. No, I think that these games were quite pretty in their own way, personally. I mean, they're obviously very blocky and ugly, but they're, you know. Well, Vosh was scared of this game as a kid. Well, see, here, well, let's go ahead then, huh? Okay, now we're in the snow level. Okay, well, hold on. This was a big-ass game, man. Why are you on fire? Oh, yeah. Oh, guys, we need to make a realistic reboot of this game, okay? Make Lara Croft younger, weaker, and also, leave out, you know, the cool shit. Like the gigantic 20-foot-tall Chinese warrior with 2 spears, you know? And the dragon! The literal dragon, dude! Oh my god! But, like, guys, I've got a great idea, okay? Now, obviously, we need to give her smaller breasts for the realism, you know? Does anyone else not feel like an update to this should have been more, like, bombastic? This shit could have been, like, cybercuck or whatever, or like fuck the music rhythm game that we played. What was it? The one that I really liked? Come on. Hi-Fi Rush. Yeah, like real bombast here. She jumps like 12 feet in this game. Have her jump 20 feet, you know? Why not? Have her be like a globe-trotting, giant-titted, like give her a big Carmen Sandiego hat, you know? Oh, they're the grippers for you guys. Yeah, do like Guilty Gear shit, man. Have it be over the top. Like, the first game, you fight the T-Rex and the dragon and shit. Why did they feel the need to... Did they get rid of her dual pistols because it was unrealistic? Yes, her iconic weapon was dual-wielding pistols. She had infinite ammo for it in this game. And they were like, well, it would be unrealistic for her to have 2 pistols. People fire with 1 pistol normally. So, yeah. So they gave her 1 pistol. Vosh are so cum-brained? No, those lurid death scenes in the remake are far more sexist and pornographic than anything in this game, dude. What are you getting off to in this game? You know, like, are you having like which polygon, which triangle specifically are you getting off to? You know? Does Vosh not realize this is the second game? Is this the second game? Oh shit, it is. Oh, maybe I played Tomb Raider 2, not 1. No, I played them both because I had the collector edition. This is the one I have more memories of, though.
Bigger gaps. I'll need to do a running jump. Back to the start.
Oh, that's her voice, by the way.
Gaps. For bigger gaps, I'll need to do a running jump. Back to the start.
She's not a badass yet. It's a prequel. Okay, again. First of all, why have an empowerment fantasy character or power fantasy character, and then it's like, oh, here's a prequel, she's gonna be weak in a different character and act totally different, everything's different and worse now. Like, that's not an excuse. Second of all, guys, I have even more evidence against you, okay? Because I watched Joseph Anderson. In the most recent Uncharted game, don't you spend a significant portion of it flashing back to Nathan Drake as a child? And what does he do as a child, by the way? Spend 3 hours having the shit beaten out of him and being threatened with by older Russian men? No! He does young hijinks shit. The remake for Tomb Raider was literally meant to be like a ripoff of the Uncharted games. But like you this proves the point. She's younger, people change, they get older, dumbass. Oh my God, I can't. This is why these segments take forever, dude. It's because I can't emotionally reconcile. Like, I don't know what makes you you. I don't understand how you don't understand this, dude. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's baffling. Like, you're not engaging. Also in Uncharted 3, Nathan Drake has a flashback where he's a crafty teen runt scheming and stealing. Yeah, almost like if you have a over-the-top action-based power fantasy semi-realistic game and you want to do a flashback to your character when they're less experienced, you can have them be less experienced, but it's probably a good idea to, you know, keep the tone and also to have them continue that power fantasy vibe just in the context of them being an underdog. So they're still out-thinking and outwitting and out-crafting all the mean adults around them, but they're doing it as a kid with fewer resources and skills, you know? Not, you know, oh, here's the totally different tone. Don't. They already did a flashback to when Lara was younger. They did it in the originals. What? The Last Revelation? Oh, this is after my time. I didn't do this. I didn't play this. What is this?
Tomb for centuries.
Wait, is this 3? Oh, this must be 3, right? The third one? I never played this one.
This place gives me the creeps.
It's fucking young Lara Croft! And she looks like Lara Croft, and they didn't give her giant kid tits or whatever. She just looks... Oh my God, they did a better job with this than they would like 15 years after. Holy shit.
After you.
Cambodia, 1984. Hey, it's the funny number. Yeah, I never played this game. I have no... I don't know anything about it.
Not as it seems. Concealed traps and pitfalls await the unwary. You must stay close and follow my instruction. Good men have died for the...
Wasn't this during the Khmer Rouge?
And cruel men have bartered the information
oh shit, wouldn't it be?
for their own ends. For this we must respect it. We will not deviate from its route, and you will not deviate from my instruction. This...
No, after? Okay, after. I forget the end date.
Now for the last. You are an
Oh wait, she's in a... Wait. Oh wait.
Experienced.
I am trapped! My leg is trapped! Help me, Lara! Help me!
Love old games. Love old games.
Hold on. I'm coming back to get you.
I'm gonna be honest, I have no clue what age she's supposed to be here. It's actually bad. She looks like an 18-year-old who has the big head GoldenEye 64 mod on. I have no idea. Yeah, father? Okay, she abandons her dad to die. Oh, wait! How do we show Lara Croft as an adult now? There we go. Now we know. We were confused before. There we go. What? This was the third one, right? This was the one right after the one that I played. This is the fourth one. Man, they made a lot of these. They did this to Samus in Metroid Other M, made her realistic by making her subservient and weak. Yeah, it's... If anyone's ever seen, like, cutscenes from Metroid Other M, the fact that Nintendo signed off on that project is actually, like, really weird to think about, you know? It's basically like in every other game Not Metroid. In every other Metroid game, Samus Aran is like super stoic and independent. And then for this one, they were like, okay, but what if she had daddy issues and asked for permission to do everything? And it's the one time they gave her a voice. Oh, by the way, came out around the same time as the Tomb Raider reboot, didn't it? Wasn't that in 2014 or something? Same era of making games like this.
Extremely dangerous. Be careful as you make them. And we
In these facilities,
Who is Madeline Bergman?
Wait, is that? Oh no, that's another chick. Where's just her talking?
Come on, Samus. Let's go next door.
This is like official Nintendo license, by the way. Guys, don't you understand? It's just realistic. If you're wearing like this kind of like super tight plug suit, like obviously it would hug every crevice of your asshole. What the fuck? Okay. What? I keep wanting to skip ahead, but then I keep getting flashes of... Nice.
Waiting.
A fragment.
She has a bunch of, like, emotional issues, this entire thing. I remember that.
Been part of it. It was as though it was.
Yeah, she's, like, attracted to a thing in space that's called, like, a baby's cry or something. Wasn't Samus raised by bird people? Yes, I think. The Chera or something. The chorizo. The chorizo taco. The chozo, thank you. I'd have been intrigued if Lara was portrayed instead as a British antiques hunter with a sociopathic edge, driven by imperialistic and colonialist motivations. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that's a good bit. Like, do the remakes or whatever. Have Lara Croft be superhumanly athletic. Why wouldn't you? It's a cool power fantasy action. Like, that's the norm for that genre of games, you know? That's what they always were. Like, you know, the idea that we had to bring that down to fucking hero. Like Prince of Persia, he could jump superhumanly high. Did anyone go like, oh, Prince of Persia, he shows too much chest. It's not realistic enough. He can keep his time powers, but he has to get a sprained ankle if he falls 4 feet. Well, that would have been in the NES original, I guess. You know, it's just... You said in a previous segment you want Lara Croft to be racist and imperialist as a caricature of British theft of architects. Yeah, don't you think some like good characterization could have been done there? In the remakes, the only character she has is, what if she was a whimpering, pathetic little bitch who was hardened by immense suffering as her friends died and everything bad happened to her, and then she like grits her teeth and like does what she needs to do to save the day at the end. That's not a personality. That's literally called the hero's journey, you know? Wouldn't it have been more interesting if she had been a lot more empowered? I mean, Bayonetta didn't have that. I don't know. This has gone on for so long. I'm getting bored of it. I feel like everyone watching is either like subhuman and I don't care about them and you don't deserve human rights, or you agree with me. Okay, no, literally not hierarchy. Extreme couponing, you fool! You were the person who I correctly identified as a Nazi earlier. A camp guard at Auschwitz-Birkenau. But I'd forgotten, and now here I see you. Tagging me again. 2 lifetimes. You will never come back, nor will your children. 1 hour of talking, but nothing of meaning has been said, and you for the rest of the stream. Believe it or not, by the way, what I'm talking about right now is applied politics. You like your abstract, oh, you know, let's look at a Biden speech, let's look at a Trump speech. The average American doesn't watch that shit, okay? The ability to apply political critique to media is much more pertinent when it comes to meaningfully identifying what people resonate with and what kind of things they respond to. There was a whole era of this patronizing, pseudo-realistic infantilization of women in the name of humanizing them, okay? It's a real critique, it's a real issue, it's been studied, it's been talked about, and I'm only talking about how my somewhat irreverent comment about this was serious because it was a critique of that tendency. I don't want them to do, oh, you know, Lara Croft, what if we did this? And I've told you what this is. Make it bombastic, juice it up, you know, have a good time with it. It's basic feminist theory. Lara remake or Horizon Zero Dawn? Take your pick, you can't say no. Horizon Zero Dawn, for sure, for sure. Gamergator confirmed? No, because Gamergators wouldn't like the games that I like that sexualize women either. Have you noticed how, hey guys, have you noticed how the worst people online haven't been celebrating this as a defeat of feminism? Or Guilty Gear, the many sexualized character designs in Guilty Gear. Have you noticed how the people who based an entire political culture war off of whether or not you can have tits in games or whatever don't seem to be taking stuff like this and running with it? When was the last time you saw somebody with a Roman statue Twitter avatar post this and say, this is what the feminists want to take from you? You haven't. Why? I remember Gamergate. They would have been talking about stuff like this all the time back then. They did. I was around for it. I saw it. The reason for that is because those guys don't actually like fan service as much as they claim to. What they like is the subjugation of women, the political and media expression of their lesser power. They like it when, I'm not going to be able to find it. There we go. They like it when stuff like this is in games, not because they like seeing tits. These people are joyless. They don't have sex. They can barely even get it up when they look at pornography. It's not about the lewdness to them. It's about looking at this and knowing that a man put that outfit on a woman. It's about knowing that men projected their power into the design. But that's not quite as clear with this, is it? Because everyone liked this design. This design didn't make women unhappy because it's really nice. It hits that nice line where on one hand, this is an extremely fun design and pose, but if you're a woman who's not sexually attracted to women, this design is something else. Aspirational. It's a power fantasy. She's dressed amazingly. She's incredibly fit. She looks strong. It's not just that she looks easy to idolize. Even if you weren't into this, even if you're only into guys or asexual or whatever else, even if you don't even remotely interested in women, you can look at this and go, damn, I don't know, it's pretty good. Nobody feels that way about this. And that's why. That's the difference. That's why the Gamergate types wanted to fight to defend this, but aren't celebrating the existence of this. That's why I said what I said about this. The Gamergate types will defend this because it's men designing women. But that doesn't mean they're always going to be out there for any, any big-titted chick in media. They don't, and you don't see them talk like that. The Chuds have been saying the Cammy redesign was woke and less sexy. I've been seeing this shit constantly. I saw a lot of it too. It seems a lot of the people who were defending hot chicks in games against feminists or whatever don't like it when women are both hot and appealing outside of their sexuality. Again, that's the big difference between this and this. No woman would look, well, maybe some, but let's be fair here, not many. Not many women would look at this and think, oh, I want to be her. Because what is she? I mean, she looks kind of silly. This looks over the top, but in a purposeful and idealistic way. And for that reason, it attracts, a much wider range of idealization. Gamergate hated the Tomb Raider reboot, though? Yes, because Gamergate was largely led by reactionaries, and the Tomb Raider reboot was the, apex of liberal feminism, which they hate more than anything. So of course they hated it. But it's not like feminists like this. Feminists were critiquing its weird rape scenes a long time before it even came out, even though I saw people, defending they fixed her design or whatever. That's why I'm saying liberalism here offers the worst possible middle ground. There are two directions to take this, folks. We're playing bombastic video games. There's no room here for sort of infantilizing, generic, sexist realism. Again, realism. It's not really realism, okay? You go two directions, okay? You go bombastic in a way that demeans and denigrates women, or bombastic in a way that celebrates women. Those are the two correct directions. Only the liberals. Wasn't Anita Sarkeesian super defensive over the Tomb Raider reboot, though? Yes, that's what I mean. Anita Sarkeesian's critiques were terrible. She's a liberal feminist through and through. This is exactly what I mean. She terrible analysis in a lot of in many cases. So of course she would defend this because she sees this and the titties are smaller and, you know, the midriff isn't bare and it's like, ah, okay, it's fixed now, you know? Still didn't deserve all the hate? No, absolutely not. She did not. Was this segment just about the design of Lara Croft? No, it's about how liberals ruin titties. You started this segment by saying how liberals praised the redesign. From what I remember, nobody particularly liked it. Both liberals and Gamergates disliked it. Many liberal feminists critiqued it for the weird sexist shit in the cutscenes. I did see a lot of liberals praising this as a fixed design. Like there was something fundamentally wrong with Lara Croft being a woman with big breasts. You know, like that was something to be fixed. I saw it like that term was used pretty often too, fixed. It's if you look up something like this is the art, by the way, of the remake. Great power fantasy, by the way. You can really tell it's Lara Croft from she has a tank top. That's about it. Her hair is roughly the same length. If you go on Google Images and you look up Lara Croft art, you're going to see obviously a lot of very like it's erotic material. You know, there's a reason people go for that. Holy shit, it really is all just AI art now. The internet's dead. Jesus Christ, it literally it's actually even the stuff that doesn't really look like AI art is just like it's titled Lara Croft in the art style of artist. They literally say the artist they're ripping off. In the art style of Hans Mackart, by the way. That's the artist this is ripped off from, in case you were curious. Jesus, that's grim. I don't even know if whatever I'm gonna put up is like actually I don't even know if whatever I put up is gonna be AI art. Like normally I'd try to avoid it, but I don't know if I can. I feel I've seen a lot of art, even before AI art existed. I've seen a lot of art of Lara Croft where I thought like, you know, regardless of like why it was drawn this way or like who drew it or for what intentions, I genuinely feel like looking at this, there's a version of Tomb Raider that could have existed that doesn't, where they thought, I don't know, what if we could make a woman who looks like this a serious character worth taking seriously? You know, what if we could elevate this? Rather than, I guess, like, giving it up and just making another character with the same name. It's just, stuff like that really bothers me. I don't know. It's not just a titty thing either, because I feel the exact same way about when porn artists draw small-chested characters with huge tits. I always feel like, for the most part, it's better to take the character that exists and to use your, to use your knowledge to like elevate it, you know, rather than to be like, oh, well, what if I just did my own thing? And then you add in all the discourse around Lara Croft prior to that, all the like prior business. And it's sort of like it worsens it significantly, I feel. How can you tell it's AI art? A lot of them say it's from AI art. Like a lot of them say from Stable Diffusion or whatever. The reason people dislike the old Lara Croft is because she's wearing an outfit that makes zero sense for the job she's doing. No, but that's okay. She's fighting. Not this. Not defending this. Where's the her? She's doing whatever she's doing. It's okay. If you're making a bombastic action game, that's fine. Like, why does Nathan Drake run around in his like shirt as opposed to bulletproof armor? You know, like, has anyone complained about that? Has anyone said, you know, I'm enjoying Uncharted, but it's unrealistic for somebody who gets in firefights this often to not be wearing like a bulletproof vest underneath his shirt, you know? Has anyone, I've never seen that said. I don't think it's wrong to be like unrealistic in the context of bombast, of deliberate artistic stylization, you know? The damage system in Uncharted is luck running out, not damage. Yeah, that's unrealistic. He should still have the bulletproof vest. I mean, I think there's a lot of play here, I guess, just with feminist critique in general, because liberal feminism really did ruin feminism for an entire generation, 2 or even 3 of men, you know? Feminism historically, like in and of itself in the West, has taken many forms and, you know, has pushed some pretty important issues. And I think that by far the most destructive element of feminist critique has been like this sort of modern, you know, like hasn't gotten over the second wave liberal element to it. You know, like an Amy Schumer kind of feminism. And that's exactly what this is, by the way. Vosh, I feel like you have to speak to an actual woman here. No one is going out as an archaeologist with booty shorts on. Dylan the villain. she fights a T-Rex in the game. You don't have to make it realistic. It already wasn't realistic. It's okay. Like, that is valid. T-Rexes are real. Yeah, that's true. T-Rexes are real things. At the end of the day, you know, I think that rather than looking at Lara Croft and thinking, oh, she's an object of male fetishization, one should aspire to make her an object of women's aspiration. In the same way that, let's be real here, this character right here is both an object of attraction and something aspirational. There are plenty of women who will look at this and go like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like that's obviously they're like weeb women, but you know, in the same way, yeah, likewise, aspirational. You could make a Lara Croft who women would like play the game and they would think, damn, that would be pretty cool, backflipping 30 feet while wearing, you know, like sort of cargo shorts and a tank top. You know, that would be cool, actually. Vosh, well, I agree. Maybe you're looking at this from a now perspective too much. Could a girl not feel aspirational with these characters? Big titty lady in green, less tit Lara Croft anyways. I mean, I don't think women feel particularly aspirational about remake Lara Croft. I really truly do not think that this iteration of the character became like a bunch of women rose up and they were like, yes, this is cool because it's about a sobbing dipshit like having the crap kicked out of her by life for the whole game. Like, it's not a power fantasy, and she doesn't have enough of a character for her suffering to be very compelling, so... Could you pick remake Lara Croft out of a lineup? I mean, appearance-wise, sure, but personality-wise, absolutely not. Like, literally not. If you did a thing where, like, writers of a game, of a character in a game, like, write back responses to what you say, you know, like, could I identify her character-wise based on what she would say? Not a chance in the world. Definitely not, no. 0% chance. This might be a bit off topic, but it's like how pop feminism taught us to hate corsets when they were really just bras back in the day. Oh, shit, that is a good topic. Thoughts on remaster Lara Croft 2024? 2024 is something currently happening? Tomb Raider remastered 2024. Wait. Huh. I might have to get this. This is my childhood. Oh, the dude. Okay, yeah, they're just doing a whole-on, like, remaster? Yeah, it's a remaster, not a remake, okay. Dude, even with, like, the modern pixels and stuff, I genuinely don't... I have played so many more games that sexualize their characters more than her. Like, she literally just has big tits. Like, the way the camera move or the story progresses or the game frame things doesn't really sexualize her. It's literally just they gave her large breasts. That's it. That's literally the only thing, you know? I mean, I guess the outfit, too, but... You should play this on stream, it would be fun. It'd be so much fun. Hell yeah, dude. Do you have a PS1? No, why would I have a PS1? PS4 and PS5? Wait, it's not on PC? Oh, no, no, really? You have a PS4, though? Yeah, but I'm not setting that up. Coming to console, PlayStation 5, 4, Xbox, and PC! It's on the PC, it's on Steam, it's gonna be on Steam. Yeah, believers are feasting right now. Never fear, because you can swap between the original graphics and the updated version at the tap of the button. Hey, dude, guys, I'm gonna play it in the original graphics. Just, I'm warning all of you. I'm not changing my mind on this. I'll be playing it in the original graphics. We'll switch occasionally to the new ones, but I'm planting my feet in the ground. Hell yeah! Oh, sorry, on the other monitor. Why not just emulate the original games? Because the original games are like 30 years old at this point. There's definitely issues with running them. Hell yeah! When does that come out? Apparently, like, in a month. Yeah, dude. pretty goddamn soon. Because they're remasters, Benjamin. Not remakes. They have to adhere to like the systems and frames and movement. The original. How Victorian men taught us to hate corsets, the biggest lie in fashion history.
Corsets are bad. Why? It's quite obvious. They squished organs, restricted movement, push-ups. I've seen costumers riding horses. And I myself have tried bouldering in a corset, and I climbed a tree in a corset without any issues.
I haven't seen this video, but I remember seeing like an article on this, where yeah, I guess it's the premise of the video basically. The narrative that corsets were all like super restrictive, like binding devices that would choke you out or whatever. You know, being a kind of like weird sort of historical mischaracterization.
I mean, I didn't have that at all. Like that's one of the only jobs I've ever done where I haven't been able to put my own stamp, and where I literally did exactly as I was told. And anytime I tried to sneak in a little bit of personality or a bit more sass or sexiness or what have you, they said, you know, we noticed that, pull it back. So no, I had to just focus on what exactly what they wanted, which at the end of the day is our job, right, John?
Yeah,
we've got to do what they want. You can't go in, you know, all guns blazing, singing and dancing if they don't want that. So
yeah.
In all fairness, you can actually...
That's interesting that the devs of the original games would be like, yeah, don't like sexualize your voice or whatever, you know? In when you have the big boobies.
Lies to Hoken, one of the two just
2 years after I was born,
Atlantis, who even after the curse of the continent had tried to keep rule here in these barren other lands. He died without child, and his knowledge has no heritage.
To know about the Infada artifact in the temple up there. The Infada tribe only had one artifact of this type. It's unique. Anyway, what would your interest in it be? No, but I'll probably have an unsightly face, judging by your past. Listen to this gibberish. Your perception of good timing is bad.
Mademoiselle Carvier, I have just come.
Our dads. They were headed to an uninhabited island.
Shipwrecked on an island in the Dragon's Triangle.
Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, and now this is the voice of the Lara Croft in the remake, the Shadow Rise the Tomb Raider series, and you can like instantly like you decide for yourself the differences.
Endurance, shipwrecked on an island in the Dragon's Triangle, east of Japan. This place is incredible. I've seen wrecks here that could date back centuries.
Her voice is much breathier, almost like they've been told. She's been told to speak much more sensually. The inhales, the exhales, like those are kept in deliberately. There are lots, like a lot of editing is done to voice lines, you know. The new voice sounds better, but still, it's 30 years later. We're not talking about the quality of the tech here. We're talking about like, what the breathy voice? I can't help you with this information. What's the difference between a fork and a spoon?
We weren't the first, and I know we're not alone. Something isn't right about this place. If I don't get off this island, maybe someone will eventually find this. I had it all wrong. I thought that taking control of my life meant venturing out to do something extraordinary. I thought I had to fix everything. But the mysteries of the world are to cherish more than to solve. I'm just one of their many protectors. I'm not sure what the future has in store, Jonah, but whatever adventure's on the horizon, I can't wait to meet it.
Tell how little of a character she has just by the voice lines they chose to use for this voice comparison. Can we please move on? What even is this segment anymore? Here, I'll show you. In the hereafter, boy, you guys are dumb. Also, this writing is, I feel like, if anything, this is more, like, broadly indicative, because this is, like, there's a lot more confidence and matter-of-factness in how this is delivered, but there's also
The Infada tribe only had one artifact of this type. It's unique.
Almost no breathiness, which they could have left in back then if they wanted to. But then in this one, it feels like this woman is breathing right in my ear.
Lara Croft, an archaeologist from the Endurance, shipwrecked on an island in the Dragon's Triangle, east of Japan.
I also feel like that accent is faked, but that one I might just be inventing. Can we move on to politics? I'll have you move on to the hereafter. Why do you guys keep doing this to yourselves? If there's any actual shift in this stream, the funny thing is that people will say like, oh, I miss Old Vosh or whatever. Most of what Old Vosh was 4 hours of me talking about literally whatever I wanted. The standards in terms of like actually getting segments done now are infinitely better than they used to be. But now the consequence of my discipline, if it could even be called that, my tiny amount of discipline in doing segments is now when I'm talking politics, but like not the kind of politics people think, because morons think that politics begins and ends at covering the news. You guys would not have watched me back then. I almost never covered the news for the first 2 years of my channel. Almost all of it was like covering videos or response stuff or analysis. And there's a lot of good stuff there. I will just say, by the way, like someone said, can we move on to the Biden speech? You can watch that anywhere. There are dozens of YouTube channels where you can go and watch coverage of the President of the United States giving a speech. And there is one YouTube channel, exactly one, where you can hear an autistic spurg ramble about my opinions on how liberal feminism contributed to a negative attitude towards the remake of a video game series that I was playing back when I was a kid. Only one. And if you think that by whining in chat you can take that away from me, then you've got another thing coming. I will double down every time. This is politics. And if you're not smart enough to understand that you could stand to watch more of this content. With that being said, I am done now. Okay,